The obsidian walls of Station Umbra 7 had stood for 12 centuries, a monument to fear itself. Deep within its core, past security measures that would make planetary defense systems jealous, lay a cell that no sentient being had willingly approached in 1,238 years. The guards changed shifts at precisely calculated intervals, their routes designed to bring them no closer than 300 meters to the containment unit. Even the automated systems avoided direct monitoring, relying instead on gravitational signatures and energy readings to confirm what everyone already knew. Valtharion still breathed. The dragon's capture had been the Galactic Council's greatest triumph and darkest secret. Before humanity had even achieved faster-than-light travel, before the Council had expanded to its current 47-member species, Valtharion had burned 17 worlds. Not conquered, burned. Rendered them lifeless, their atmospheres choked with ash, their surfaces cracked and glowing. The combined fleets of a dozen civilizations had finally cornered the ancient beast. And at a cost of 2 million lives, they had bound him in chains forged from collapsed star matter and locked him away where none would have to face his wrath again. Commander Aaron Holt studied the security feeds with the calm detachment that had earned her command of the human expeditionary forces. Her reflection in the monitor showed a woman in her mid-40s, with gray threading through her dark hair and scars that spoke of battles won through stubborn determination rather than elegant tactics. Behind her, the council delegation shifted nervously. "This is madness," Councillor Thexmore clicked, his carapace plates rattling with agitation. The insectoid ambassador had served for 300 years and had never questioned a human decision so directly. "Your species has been part of the galactic community for merely 2 centuries. You cannot comprehend what you propose." Aaron turned to face the assemblage. 6 species were represented, each more ancient than humanity, each bearing the inherited trauma of the Dragon Wars. "With respect, Counselor, that's precisely why it must be us." Elaborate. This came from High Arbiter Linsera, the crystalline being who had witnessed Valtharion's rampage firsthand. Her voice resonated like wind through canyons. "You fear him because you remember," Aaron said simply. "Every species here lost worlds, lost millions. That fear is justified, but it's also a cage you've built for yourselves. You've maintained this station for over a millennium, dedicating resources that could terraform planets or establish colonies, all to guard a prisoner who hasn't moved in centuries." Why? Silence stretched between them. Finally, Thexmore spoke. "Because he is death itself. Because the moment those chains weaken, he will rise and finish what he began. Maybe." Aaron pulled up a data slate. "Or maybe you've imprisoned something you never tried to understand. Our xenopsychologists have analyzed every historical account. Valtharion never attacked without provocation. Every world he burned had one thing in common. They were mining colonies, stripping planets of resources, including living ecosystems. You would defend a mass murderer." Linsera's voice sharpened. "I would seek truth," Aaron corrected. "Humanity's history is soaked in blood from wars fought over misunderstanding and fear. We've learned, painfully, that sometimes the monster is just someone speaking a language you refuse to hear." The delegation erupted in protests, but High Arbiter Linsera raised a crystalline hand and silence fell. "You truly wish to approach him?" "I do." "Then you go to your death, Commander. We will not risk forces to retrieve your remains." Aaron smiled grimly. "I wouldn't expect you to." The walk to the containment unit took 17 minutes through corridors that grew progressively colder. The temperature drop wasn't environmental. It was the presence of so much collapsed matter in one place, pulling heat from reality itself. Aaron's breath misted before her as she reached the final door, a barrier that had remained sealed for longer than most civilizations had existed. She pressed her palm to the access panel. The door opened with a groan of protesting metal. The cell beyond was vast, a spherical chamber 500 meters in diameter. At its center, suspended in chains that glowed with barely contained energy, hung Valtharion. The dragon was smaller than she'd expected from the legends, only 30 meters from snout to tail. But his presence filled the space like gravity itself. Scales the color of dying stars covered his form, and even in captivity, even dormant, power radiated from him in waves that made her bones ache. Aaron stepped onto the narrow walkway that led to the center of the chamber. Each footfall echoed like thunder. She reached the midpoint and stopped, standing at eye level with the dragon's massive head. "Valtharion," she said simply, I am Commander Aaron Holt of humanity. I've come to talk. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, impossibly, one massive eye opened. It was the color of supernovas, filled with starlight and rage and something else. Something that looked like curiosity. A human. The voice was not heard, but felt, resonating through the chamber and through Aaron's very bones. How peculiar. You are not afraid. I'm terrified, Aaron admitted. But fear and action aren't mutually exclusive. My people learned that the hard way. The dragon's eye focused on her with an intensity that made her feel transparent. They sent you here to die, a sacrifice to appease a monster. They sent me here to listen. There's a difference. For the first time in 1,238 years, Valtharian laughed. It was a sound like mountains cracking, like stars being born. Listen, child of a young race. What makes you think I have anything to say? Because silence is a choice, Aaron said, meeting that terrible gaze steadily. And you've been choosing it for 12 centuries. Maybe it's time to choose differently. The dragon regarded her for a long moment. Then slowly, deliberately, he began to speak, not with the voice that shook reality, but with words that carried the weight of ages and the pain of a being who had watched his world die, while younger species stripped it for fuel. Aaron listened. And outside the containment unit, monitoring systems detected something that sent the entire council into emergency session. Valtharian's energy signature was changing, not rising in preparation for attack, but calming, settling into patterns they had never seen before. In the cell, human and dragon talked. And for the first time in over a millennium, the ancient prisoner who had burned worlds began to hope that someone might finally understand why. The conversation had just begun.